Who is the man who walks in the shadows behind him and Jungkook, always one step ahead of danger? Before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dive stories into the unseen world behind your favorite idols.
What you gonna do when there is nobody that do it better than this?
They say silence speaks louder than words, but what if that silence is a calculated shield? What if behind every stolen moment between Jungkook and Jimin, behind every airport dash and every tightly secured concert entrance, there stands a man whose eyes miss nothing, whose movements predict chaos, and whose mere presence can halt a crowd? That man exists, his name, only few dare to speak it aloud. Mr. Lee. Fans have seen him, noticed him, wondered, but never fully known him. He's the constant shadow in Jikook's orbit, the one who never leaves their side, yet never seeks a frame. His uniform may resemble that of a typical bodyguard, but armies who pay close attention know there's nothing typical about Mr. Lee. Who is he truly? Why does he command such silent authority, even among other security personnel? And why, out of all the possible elite agents Hybe could assign, is he the one who never leaves Jikook, especially when they're together? Rewind to an ordinary airport scene, if such a term even applies to Jimin and Jungkook. Flashes erupt, crowds roar, chaos threatens to overwhelm, but from somewhere in the periphery, a firm yet almost invisible force steps in. A shift in stance, a tilt of the head, and within seconds the sea of people seems to bend around them. Eyes lock onto Mr. Lee, not out of fear, but awe, because somehow, despite his silence, he speaks in absolute authority. And then, there's the way he watches Jungkook, not just in the manner of someone doing a job, but in a way that suggests history, knowledge, and almost a sense of personal stake. When Jimin laughs too loudly and forgets to look over his shoulder, it's Mr. Lee who anticipates the rush. When Jungkook steps too close to the crowd, it's Mr. Lee who's already there, not blocking, but guiding, with the quiet strength of someone who knows what's coming before it does. Why does he protect them like this? Why does he move differently when it's the two of them together? Some fans believe Mr. Lee was once military commander, perhaps trained in operations, far more complex than celebrity protection. Others say he's HYBE's most trusted operative, assigned to Jimin and Jungkook not just for security, but because he understands their silence. The silence of glances, of shared fear, of unspoken closeness. The kind of silence that needs no microphone, only protection. But there's more. There was that one night in LA where things nearly went wrong. A fan recounts a moment when a car door opened too early. Cameras surged forward and panic began to rise. Jimin hesitated. Jungkook flinched. And Mr. Lee, he stepped forward, not to shield, but to speak. Just one word. Not to them, but to the driver. One sharp syllable, one change in tone, and suddenly, the situation was reversed. Calm descended. The vehicle was repositioned. Jimin's heart rate lowered. Jungkook exhaled. It wasn't just security, it was command. Yet Mr. Lee has no social media, no tags, no official profile. He appears only in the periphery, guarding hotel entrances, walking behind black SUVs, emerging from elevators one step before the boys do. Always near, yet never part of the spectacle. It's as though he exists only when Jimin and Jungkook are exposed and disappears. Once they're safe, some speculate he's involved in more than just protection, that he's the liaison between Jikook's private world and the one fans are allowed to see. That maybe, just maybe, he knows the full truth of their bond, a truth wrapped in glances exchanged in crowded places, in matching steps and mirrored gestures. Perhaps it's not just their physical safety he guards, but their emotional sanctuary too. Remember that moment in Paris when Jimin stumbled slightly on uneven pavement, and Jungkook instinctively reached out to steady him. The camera caught their hands, the brief eye contact, but just behind them, almost hidden by the frame, Mr. Lee had already adjusted his angle. His hand was on his earpiece, his eyes on the crowd, calculating risk not just to their bodies, but to that vulnerable moment of connection. Who taught him that? Who told him what to look for? There are whispers that he was hand-selected by Jungkook himself, that when asked who he trusted most, truly trusted, Jungkook gave no name, only a silent nod toward the man standing behind him. That during a vulnerable time in his life, when the pressures of fame became unbearable, Mr. Lee was more than just protection, he was a guardian of space, of silence, of healing. And Jimin, his relationship with Mr. Lee seems even more enigmatic. At times, it almost feels like they share a code. A glance exchanged, and suddenly the path clears. A subtle nod, and a decision is made without words, as though Mr. Lee doesn't just understand what Jimin needs, but feels it before Jimin himself does. Is it loyalty? Is it training? Or something more profound? When fans talk about Jikook, they often speak of emotion, of chemistry, of the invisible string that binds them. But perhaps what many have missed is the man who keeps that string uncut, even in the storm of flashbulbs and chaos. The one who protects the unsaid, the one who knows. So who is Mr. Lee? A former elite soldier turned bodyguard, a close family friend, a Hybe insider with secret clearance, or perhaps, just perhaps, he's something else entirely, a silent sentinel, a man with no desire for fame, no interest in recognition, but whose role in Jikook's story may be far more central than any of us have imagined. Because when the world closes in on them, when Jimin and Jungkook are cornered, overwhelmed, exhausted, it's Mr. Lee who carves out the space for them to breathe. And in a world where even a breath can be scrutinized, that kind of. And so we return to the question, who is Mr. Lee, really? And why does his presence seem to hold such weight, even in a world where fame often overshadows the quiet ones? For some, Mr. Lee is merely a highly skilled professional assigned to protect two of the biggest stars in the world. But those who have followed Jikook long enough know better. They've seen the patterns. Notice the subtle choreography that plays out whenever Mr. Lee is nearby. He's not just following them, he's guiding them. Every step, every pose, every decision seems to be silently coordinated. When Jungkook lingers to greet a fan, when Jimin slows down to take a deep breath amidst the noise, Mr. Lee is already there calculating escape routes, scanning expressions, and reading intentions from 100 different directions. There was one moment, captured only briefly by a fan cam, that speaks volumes. Jungkook was walking through a tight corridor backstage, late after a show. His body was tense, his eyes distracted, possibly overwhelmed. Jimin was just behind him, equally quiet. Mr. Lee, who had been walking several paces ahead, turned slightly. He didn't speak. He didn't even look directly at them. But somehow, Jungkook straightened his posture. Jimin took a steadier breath, and without a word exchanged, all three adjusted their pace and direction as if responding to an invisible signal, a rhythm only they understood. That's not just security. That's intuition. That's trust that's been earned over time, likely through unspoken battles, both emotional and physical. There are theories, of course. Some armies believe Mr. Lee was part of the team that helped Jungkook and Jimin navigate their lowest emotional points during the early years of BTS's massive rise, that he was there, in the silence of hotel rooms, at the edge of the stage, when the lights went off and the masks came down, that perhaps he saw more than most. And instead of retreating, he stayed anchoring them both through the madness of fame. One particularly intense rumor tells of a night in Tokyo, years ago. The group had just finished a draining schedule, emotions were high, and the energy between Jimin and Jungkook was fragile, charged with something no one wanted to name. That night, something happened. Something private. The next morning, fans noticed a difference. Jungkook was quieter. Jimin wore sunglasses indoors. But Mr. Lee, he was closer than ever, walking between them, shielding them with more than just his body, as if he was not just protecting their lives, but a secret too precious to name. Could it be that Mr. Lee is the one person who truly knows what exists between the two, not through speculation or shipping, but through experience? Through moments no fan ever saw, no camera ever caught. Think back to the awards show in 2023, the one where Jimin appeared visibly emotional during the encore, and Jungkook reached out but stopped short. The moment was replayed millions of times, but what few noticed was Mr. Lee's hand, gently pressing Jungkook's back, nudging him forward. It wasn't forceful, it wasn't part of his job description, but it was human.